By 11:30, my mother still hadn't answered my calls. The bridal suite smelled like hairspray, champagne, and the peonies my husband insisted on ordering because I once mentioned liking them 3 years earlier in passing. My friends kept moving around me with careful energy, trying not to look worried. She's probably driving, one of them said. I nodded like I believed her, but my mother had always answered my sister immediately, even during movies, even at church, even once during a parent-teacher conference when I was 14 and sitting 3 feet away from her. My sister, Melanie, had a talent for becoming urgent. Growing up, everything bent slightly toward her moods. If she was struggling, holidays softened around her. If she was excited, plans reorganized themselves. When she cried, people reacted quickly. When I stayed quiet, people called me mature. After enough years, maturity starts feeling a lot like invisibility. Still, that morning I kept defending my mother in my head. Maybe traffic, maybe a dead phone, maybe. She was helping Melanie set up the gallery opening before coming to the ceremony, the gallery opening. Even saying it internally felt ridiculous. Melanie had scheduled the event 2 weeks before my wedding after forgetting the date. My mother spent days insisting both events could coexist peacefully. Your sister finally has momentum in her life, she told me. You know how fragile her confidence is, as if mine had arrived indestructible. At the venue, guests began filling the garden chairs beneath the white canopy, while string musicians rehearsed softly near the fountain. Every few minutes, someone glanced toward the entrance. My mother's seat sat empty in the front row. I kept checking the time without meaning to. 12:15. My husband, Daniel, came into the hallway outside the bridal room already dressed, calm in the way he became calm when something was wrong. He closed the door behind him gently. She's not coming, he said. No build-up. No softening. I stared at him for a second. How do you know? He hesitated before handing me his phone. A cousin had posted photos online from Melanie's event downtown. My mother stood beside her holding flowers, smiling directly at the camera, not rushing. Not conflicted, present, something inside me became very still. I expected crying, anger, maybe humiliation. Instead, I felt something stranger. Recognition. Daniel watched my face carefully. You don't have to do this today if you don't want to. But I did, not for appearances, for myself. I handed the phone back and asked everyone for 5 minutes alone. Then I made one phone call. My Aunt Elise answered immediately. Unlike my mother, she always did. There was a long silence after I explained. Finally, she sighed quietly and said, I wondered if your mother would actually do it. Aunt Elise had spent years watching our family without interfering much. She and my grandfather jointly managed the family property trust after my grandmother died. Farmland, rental properties, the kind of old money administration nobody discussed openly until decisions mattered. 3 years earlier, my grandfather had asked my mother which daughter should eventually assume oversight responsibilities when he stepped down. My mother chose Melanie instantly, not because Melanie was qualified, because she assumed I would help anyway. Reliable daughters become invisible infrastructure in families like ours. I need to tell you something, Annalise said carefully. Your grandfather changed his mind last month. I frowned slightly. He transferred primary authority to you. For a moment, I forgot about the wedding entirely. What? He said you're the only person in this family who understands responsibility without turning it into performance. I sat down slowly near the mirror. He didn't tell your mother yet, she continued. Neither did I. Outside the room, I could hear guests settling into their seats. Then Aunt Elise added quietly, After today, I think she'll understand why. The ceremony began 12 minutes later. I walked down the aisle without my mother there, and strangely, that became the first honest moment of the entire day. No pretending, no emotional bargaining. No scanning crowds hoping someone would finally choose me first. Daniel squeezed my hand during the vows when my voice almost drifted away midway through a sentence, not because I was breaking down, because I was realizing how tired I'd been for years. The wedding itself turned out beautiful in restrained ways. Friends stayed late. My father danced awkwardly but sincerely. My college roommate fixed my veil twice without mentioning my mother once. Near sunset, my phone buzzed. A message from my mother. I heard Melanie's event ended early. Are you still at the venue? No apology. Just careful entry into the aftermath. Weeks later, she learned officially that Annalise and my grandfather had finalized the trust transition. I don't think the legal decision hurt her most. I think what hurt was realizing I had stopped compensating emotionally for everyone else. These days, my mother calls more carefully than before, like someone approaching a house after discovering the door no longer opens automatically. I answer sometimes. Sometimes I don't, not to punish her. Just because for the first time in my life, my absence finally means something too.